I heard that you guys were not the studio's first choice for The Odd Couple. Is that true?
Yeah, who was it? Walter
Jackie
remembers.
Gleason, Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
They would have been great.
Yeah.
They would have been very good. Yeah. They would have been different, but very, very good.
Yeah.
No question.
Now
We wouldn't be here today. I would be working on the vegetable truck. And where would you be working?
I'd be driving.
Now, you.
Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, one of cinema's greatest duos. Partnered together, they are most famously associated with the roles of Felix and Oscar in the film adaptation of Neil Simon's The Odd Couple. Lemmon's neurotic Felix and Mathau's slovenly Oscar make for one of the greatest comedy pairings in film history.
Listen, you want to talk to me, buddy? Put down that spoon.
Spoon! You dumb ignoramus, that is a ladle! You did not know that's a ladle!
But as you just heard, they weren't even the first choices for the roles, and obviously they wouldn't be the last, with multiple adaptations of The Odd Couple to follow. But what's more interesting is that The Odd Couple wasn't even the first time they worked together as a pair, and they would go on to star in 6 more films together over the course of 4 decades, making them one of the longest tenured comedy teams of all time. And even though they will always be best known for portraying the odd couple, I actually find some of these other films to be just as good, if not better. They may have excelled at playing opposing characters, but in reality they were very much in sync and had amazing chemistry. Here's how it all started. Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau first got together thanks to the likes of Billy Wilder. This amazing filmmaker is known for helming some of the greatest films of all time, movies like Some Like It Hot and Sunset Boulevard. Wilder had first worked with Jack Lemmon in Some Like It Hot in 1959, and the two developed a great working relationship, collaborating on Best Picture winner The Apartment in 1960 and Irma La Duce in 1963. But for their next collaboration, a film called The Fortune Cookie, a co-star was needed to share the spotlight with Lemmon, someone who could complement his manic style as well as carry their own weight. Both Lemmon and Wilder had only one man in mind.
You want to see me? Hold on, I'll check my calendar. Well, I'm all jammed up tomorrow. Nothing open Thursday. Friday's out of the question. Maybe I can squeeze you in next Monday between 11 and 11:15.
The film's plot revolves around Lemmon's character, Harry Hinkle, a CBS cameraman who suffers a minor injury while filming a Cleveland Browns game. Matthau plays his brother-in-law, a crooked attorney who sees a golden opportunity to cash in on Harry's situation by convincing him to exaggerate his injuries for the insurance settlement.
This is ridiculous. There's nothing wrong with me.
That's what you think. Not only can't you move your hand and your leg, but you had this concussion. So now you got a ringing in your ears and double vision.
Double vision.
How many me do you see?
One cheap, chiseling shyster lawyer who, of all people, had to marry my sister.
Nice talk. I'm handing you $250,000 on a silver platter.
Don't want the money. Don't want the silver platter.
What's the matter? You feel sorry for insurance companies?
For never having worked together, Matthau and Lemmon play off each other perfectly. Lemmon's guilt-ridden Harry Hinkle and Mathau's sleazeball Willie Whiplash clash throughout the film in hilarious fashion.
How much longer do I have to stay here? Any rough ideas?
Just till the insurance doctors get through with your tests.
I hope I flunk. I'm sick of pretending to doctors and nurses and mother and Charlotte.
You're not gonna flunk, take my word.
I won't dare spoil the rest of this amazing film. It's worth checking out for their performances alone, and is a very fitting film for them to have begun their screen partnership. Prior to this film's release, The Odd Couple had debuted as a smash Broadway play. Walter Matthau famously portrayed Oscar, but in this original stage version, Felix was played by Art Carney. In fact, Matthau had actually lobbied for the Felix role originally.
Well, originally I did it on the stage with Art Carney.
Right.
And I thought the Carney part, or the Lemmon part, was the more difficult part, because my role was easy. I mean, you phone it in. Every line was a laugh.
When it came time for the play to be adapted to the screen, Producers ironically wanted Jackie Gleason to take over the Oscar role and have Frank Sinatra in the Felix role. Matthau would win in the end, however, getting to keep his role as Oscar. And with their success as a duo in The Fortune Cookie, Jack Lemmon was brought in to play Felix. Once again, their comedic chemistry is just on point. Their characters are slightly similar to their Fortune Cookie counterparts, but are different enough to keep their dynamic feeling fresh. The plot of The Odd Couple centers around a divorced man named Oscar, who takes in his recently separated friend Felix, and tries to get him back on his feet, even pushing him to date again.
Why don't you sleep with an air conditioner?
Well, we haven't got one.
I know, but we have.
Oh, you! Ooh, I told you about that one, didn't I?
Yeah, they say it may rain Friday.
Oh?
To make things more complicated, Felix is a neurotic neat freak, and Oscar is, to put it mildly, a slob.
I'd be immensely grateful to you, Felix, if you didn't clean up just now.
Just a few things.
Upon its release, it became a smash hit, becoming the fourth highest grossing film of 1968. The incredible success of this film really cemented Matthau and Lemmon as a team.
The hell is so funny?
It's not spaghetti, it's linguine.
Now it's garbage.
The two were becoming fast friends as well, with Lemmon even directing Matthau in the 1971 film Koch.
He's a brilliant director, by the way.
Is he really now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am?
Much better director than he is an actor.
In 1974, Billy Wilder brought them back together with a new project he believed was perfect for them. The Front Page was a play that had been adapted to the screen 3 times prior, but Billy Wilder was ready to add his own take on the story. The plot, which centers around a Chicago Examiner reporter who on the eve of his retirement gets entangled in a story covering the hanging of a convicted murderer.
Do I have to do everything myself? Get the story, write the story?
Listen, saphead, I could blow a better story out of my nose than you can write.
Matthau plays his editor-in-chief, who is willing to stop at nothing to keep his star reporter from retiring.
Getting married? What the hell for? You've already been married.
It was some marriage, that was. I never even got to Niagara Falls because you made me get off the train at Sandusky to cover that torch murder.
That's what makes you a first-class reporter, Hildy. You're always in the right place at the right
But
time.
never at home, Walter. Not for Christmas, not for our anniversary. When she was sick in the hospital and nearly died, I was stuck in Tennessee covering that goddamn monkey trial. It's not going to happen again, Walter, not this time.
Okay.
While the film didn't live up to the financial or critical success of The Odd Couple, Matthau and Lemmon still received praise for their scenes together. The next team-up of Matthau and Lemmon would come again for Billy Wilder in 1981's Buddy Buddy. Admittedly, this film is damn near hard to find. It's out of print and isn't legally streaming anywhere. I myself don't know too much about it and have never seen it. All I know is it has one of the best film posters I've ever seen. I also know it was a critical and commercial failure, causing Roger Ebert to write, "This movie is appalling. It is a comedy without any laughs." Perhaps one day it will find its way to a proper release and we can judge for ourselves. It would become the last film of the great Billy Wilder and would seemingly end the careers of Matthau and Lemmon as a duo. Until 12 years later.
Morning, dickhead.
Hello, moron.
Matthau and Lemmon roared back to life as a team in 1993's Grumpy Old Men. The film, about longtime feuding neighbors in Minnesota, would pump new life into their careers. It showed audiences that even in their 70s, after a decade-plus hiatus, that they still hadn't lost their comedic touch as a team, and they could easily carry a film together. And not only that, the movie was an immediate success, grossing double its budget and receiving praise from critics.
Moron.
Putz.
It began a second chapter in the careers of this amazing team, commencing with a sequel called Grumpier Old Men in 1995, which grossed even more than its predecessor. At this point in their careers, Matthau and Lemmon had been bickering on screen together for 3 decades, and in their twilight years, they actually found a fun new dynamic together.
You didn't win. I quit. I got better things to do than dick around with you all day.
The success of the Grumpy Old Men franchise led to studios pursuing the duo for their own projects. They were supposed to star together next in a film called My Fellow Americans, but Matthau's health forced him to drop out, and he was replaced by James Garner.
Did you come to borrow money?
Let me just say.
Matthau was well enough in time for their next film, a cruise ship comedy called Out to Sea. This film wasn't received too well by critics, and didn't do as well as Grumpy Old Men, but man do I love this movie, and Matthau and Lemmon are in top form.
Got news for you, Herbie. My whole life isn't over yet, which is why I suggest we get on that ship and sip champagne with some lonely rich broads.
Taking inspiration from their prior films together, Lemmon plays Herb, a man coming to grips with his wife's death, with Matthau playing his brother-in-law Charlie, persuading him to come on an all-expense-paid luxury cruise.
Cozy, isn't it?
Is cozy? A good fart will give you a concussion.
But it turns out there's a catch. Charlie has volunteered them as dance hosts, and hilarity ensues. Again, it doesn't quite compete with their earlier work, but this film is just so much fun. Brent Spiner hams it up as the cruise director. Matthau gets a great subplot as he tries to con his way through the ship's elite passengers.
Where exactly did you go to college, Gordo?
That's a little place called FU.
And Lemmon shows us he can still play a romantic lead. Definitely give this one a watch if you have a chance to.
You two don't get along too well, do you?
Oh, that's not true. There was a period of 17 years that was wonderful. Then, unfortunately, we saw each other again.
And who did you say was getting married?
My daughter and his son.
Following this, the duo would step into the roles of Felix and Oscar exactly 30 years after leaving them behind in 1998's The Odd Couple 2. I'm going to go out on a limb again, but this is yet another critically panned film that I just love. It was lovingly written by the original Odd Couple playwright and screenwriter Neil Simon. The plot has Oscar's son getting married to Felix's daughter, with the two of them embarking on a road trip from hell to get to the wedding.
I want to know one thing. Why, when you get around me, you start to behave like a goddamn imbecilic, idiotic, totally moronic shithead?
Hey, wait! Hey, wait!
Matthau and Lemmon are once again in top form in this film, giving a great performance as Felix and Oscar again. It's just a fun little epilogue to the original film. Even Matthau and Lemmon believed it was a great film.
It's the best picture that we've been in together, I'm telling you.
It is.
But, as I mentioned before, the film didn't fare as well at the box office as the Grumpy Old Men franchise, and would become the final film for Matthau and Lemmon. Honestly though, I couldn't think of a more appropriate film for them to end on.
Just say no.
No.
Okay? So I'll go.
I didn't say go. I said no. All right. Give it a try for a few weeks. But the minute you start matching up my socks, we call it quits.
It's a deal. Now you go on. Go back to your game.
Matthau would end up dying 2 years later, on June 1st, 2000, and Jack Lemmon, his friend of 30-plus years, would follow just over a year later. Looking back on their careers as a team, I'm really surprised that these two don't get more proper acknowledgement as one of the great comedy teams of all time. Perhaps it's because a few of their films are hard to find nowadays, with one being near impossible to view. But I think overall, The real reason is because, unlike other teams, these two excel both as a team and in their solo careers. They are both incredible actors, with an impressive resume of films between them. I've never seen either of them phone in any of their performances. They were just old-school class acts and representative of a bygone era of Hollywood. You can tell in each film they did together that there was just such an earnest respect and love for one another.
And as a friend, couldn't find a better guy.
And even though they'll always be first identified with their odd couple counterparts, these two guys really weren't that much of an odd couple after all. They are perfectly matched and one of the greatest screen duos of all time.
I'm telling you, you're the only one of its kind in the world. Three old guys sitting around convalescent home. One guy says, if I could just do number one. I mean, if I could do like a strong number one, like, you know, not in dribs and drabs. The second guy says, if I could do a good number two, I mean, a solid one, you know. If the squeeze and it comes out, you know, it's terrible. Third guy says, I do wonderful number one, like torrential rains in Pango Pango, like the Mississippi River. He says, that's at 7:30 every morning. And 7:35 in the morning, I have a wonderful number two. He says, like Mount St. Helens. He says, this is erupting. That's at 7:35 in the morning. So the other guy says, so what are you complaining about? He says, well, I don't get out of bed till 9.